Chemistry Room Fragrances is the perfect addition when elevating the vibe of any space, whether if it's your home, car, or office, and something needs a quick refresh. Our room fragrances provide that beautiful burst of fragrance with just one quick mist. Shop now at www.chemistryroomfragrances.com and be sure to follow us on Instagram at Chemistry Room Fragrances. Chemistry Room Fragrances. Smells so good. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast, the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Tonight, I have my brother and friend back, Austinn Knox. Thank you for joining me. It's so good to have you back on the show.
It's good to be back, girl. It's been too long.
I know. So before we hop into everything, what's been going on?
Everything, nothing. I have been chilling mostly. I've been chilling, I've been creating. But other than that, though, everything else has been good. Life is good, even though it be life in sometimes. Life be life in sometimes. But no, life is good. Life is good. I'm happy. I'm in a good place. So yeah, that's pretty much all that's been going on. And I've been minding my own self business.
I love it. So before we hop into everything, first of all, I do want to just check into you because the last time you were here, you shared a lot of things. So since our last conversation until now, like what has Austinn been doing as far as like taking care of your personal self and your mental space and just healing as a whole?
What have I been doing since then? I've been doing a lot actually. I have removed a lot of people from my life that didn't mean me no good.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of discovered hidden motives with certain people through prayer, and so I kind of had to adjust accordingly. I have been writing music, little journaling moments or whatever, or little voice notes, about how I feel.
You know how I feel about journaling. So
Yeah, I got it from you. So that's really helped me. I have been really learning that it's okay to be selfish and make sure that you're okay, because a lot of times we can tend to overgive ourselves and then there's nothing left for us. And so you kind of have to be a little selfish. Like, no, I'm going to take this time for me, because in order for me to be the best for you, I have to be the best for me first. And so I've learned the art of being selfish. And a lot of people don't like that, and I really don't care. But I've been doing good. I've been doing good. I have been working on mentally. I've been good, really. I've been processing things a lot different, seeing stuff in a different angle. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing, and it's been working for me.
So can we kind of unpack that just a little bit, Austinn, as far as the importance of setting boundaries and being selfish? And I can relate to that. And sometimes that can happen, and people around you, they may not be happy about it because sometimes there may be people in your life that you're there, but it's for their benefit, but there's no reciprocity. It's not balanced. So
Exactly.
when you started setting those boundaries, can you kind of take us to where you were at that point in your life when you realized like, hey, I need to set some boundaries or something needs to change?
I think the first time that I needed to start, setting those boundaries for me was when I realized that my sleep pattern was off for real, for real. I know I talk about like my sleep pattern be off, no, but this particular time in my life, it will. Hey team. So it was very, it was like a very dark place in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing stuff to kind of like get people to see me, right? And so I would just start doing stuff, and anything they asked me to do, I found myself doing it, no matter how bad it made me feel or how unhealthy it was for me. And so I think it was at that moment when I was like, "Hold on, Dad, we got to do something about this," because I was overgiving myself, and it was making me physically drained and mentally exhausted. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had a conversation with my mother, and she was like, "Baby, you can't help everybody, no matter how bad you want to." And so that was like the journey to start setting those boundaries, because then I really started to see exactly why people were calling. Like anytime somebody can call you and you know what they want before you answer the phone, you have entered into a place where yeah, no, 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 we can't do that. We can't do that. We can't do that. And so certain people don't have access to me. They just don't, because I know what you want before you even called. When I saw your name on my phone, I knew what you wanted. And typically, most people always want the corner. And I found myself always giving and never had anything for me to show, that I actually worked and all that kind of stuff. So I pulled back on a lot of people, and I kind of started setting those boundaries. Like, hey, I love you, I appreciate you, but no. And that's a big word I had to learn. I had to learn the word no.
No is an answer.
I had to learn that. And I said, you got to say no. I don't know how, because I just feel like they're not going to like me. And then that was when the Lord was like, that's what I'm coming after. You study seeking the attention of people, and I've approved you already.
That
And
word validation, like we go through things where we want to be validated or
exactly,
accepted, so then we sacrifice our own happiness to accommodate or to please other people. And
exactly.
I and I say that because I've been there and I went through that for a very long time. And you do it, but then deep down you become angry or resentful with yourself because you wanted to say no and you didn't.
And you
And so
didn't.
you're like, "Oh, I should," but you do it because you wanna be nice, you don't wanna be not confrontational, you wanna be the friend, you wanna get along, you wanna be accepted, you wanna be the people person, you wanna be liked, and so you put you aside for this person, and sometimes it doesn't agree with what's going on with your core. Now you
Exactly.
compromise a piece of yourself, and then you do that, and they still find something wrong with it.
Still find something wrong with it. So,
So now you're feeling double rejection because now you're mad at yourself because you should have said no, but then you feel their rejection because even when you did what they asked, they still pick it apart.
they
And
still
so then
pick it
it
apart.
doubles back into that worthiness again. So now that you're fast forwarding saying no, what does that space feel like for you now, Austin?
It feels amazing because uh I've kind of like arrived to this place where I kind of like officially became myself, right? I've officially became me, right? And I did it, and I went through that process, and I went through that journey, and I'm okay with me, right? I'm okay with those boundaries. And if you don't like it, you ain't gotta be here. I didn't put you here, so I ain't gonna put you out either. You know what a dough is. And so I think that it's important for everybody to set those boundaries and compartmentalize everything in your own life.
Mhm.
So you won't be so exhausted and so burnt out and so tired and then frustrated and don't know why you're frustrated, because you have a million and one things going on in your head at the same time. And then you start lashing out at people that really didn't do nothing, but it was just that one thing that kind of like sent you overboard. And
Because
so
you pile it on top of each other, and the one time you should have said no, you didn't. Then the next time, and it's just stacking. And then before you know it, something small or insignificant can add to it, and then and people are like, "Oh, what's wrong?" But it's just over time, it's like a snowball, or I use the analogy, it's like a can of soda. You shake it up, and then somebody comes and pulls that tab or twists that cap.
that's it, and that's it. And then you be like, Now you really didn't have to do all that, but it's so much stuff that's in you at one time until it's kind of like you ain't got a choice. And so you just kind of blow up. And then it makes it hard. Um, it makes it hard for you to be around people. And then it makes them kind of scared to come around you because you're a ticking time bomb. Like they don't know what to say or how to say it because they've seen your episodes and they're kind of like, I don't know how to approach you because I don't know if this is a good day for you. I don't know. And so you have to go within yourself to make sure that, hey, everything with me is in alignment. Everything with me is good. Now we can have a conversation. And you have to present yourself as such. I'm working on that every day because sometimes I can be chilling, but my face will be like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't wave at me, I ain't in the mood. But and so I have to work on that and still show myself presentable. Like, yeah, you want to talk? Let's talk. Like, like let's go. And so I think that's important.
So do you feel like finding yourself and finding your no and setting those boundaries, do you feel that others around you are having to adjust to new you or finding your voice because before they're so accustomed to you saying yes, and so now the response will he may not say yes this time, or maybe still trying to treat you as old Austin versus saying no, this is not who I am anymore. Because I found for myself there were people that were not respecting my voice, and I could not continue to contend for my space, and so not to have that friction, I just quietly step back because if you can't see that Camille speaking up for herself now, she's learning how to say no, she's learning how to set boundaries, she has a backbone now. And if you cannot understand and respect where I am in this chapter of life, then I'm just gonna step back and I'm not gonna do any like shady social media posts or anything like that. It's just your accessibility to me is just going to decrease, or I'm just not as readily available to you.
Yeah, they some of them did not take it serious
Mhm.
at first. But after time went on, they kind of saw, oh, he ain't playing. And then some of them will still try it. Some of them will still try it, but I never let it get that far. And it's just kind of like, no, and that's the answer. And then, of course, you got people are going to be people. Well, I remember when, well, you stay remembering. I'm headed on to the future. You stay
But
in the
isn't
past.
that
I'm
a
headed that way.
form of self-respect? Like setting boundaries and putting those no's into place. It is not to be mean or cold or whatever, but you do have limits. You have boundaries. You're just one person.
I'm
And
just one
doing that
person.
is a form of self-respect. If there's something that doesn't feel right for you, or and I don't mind helping people, but my capacity is limited. I'm one person. I'm wearing many hats. And so if you're asking me to do something um that's can be overly tasking from what I'm already doing, I will have to say no because even though part of me wants to help you, but if I'm already stretched thin and pulled out to the max, I can't pour from an empty cup if I've already emptied out this week, you know?
You can't do it. And so you run the risk of running on fumes and then you burn out while everybody else done ascended and uh done went on and you sitting here trying to figure out what's going on and what's wrong. And so with me, first, like you just said, I had to start with respecting me first.
Mhm.
I had to love me. I had to find me. And then when I did that, everybody else didn't have a choice but to respect me because typically I was running off of everybody else's voice. Well, what do you think I should do? How you think I should do this? Then just to make you happy. But no, 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 no. I had to find my own voice. And when I found it, it was kind of like, also, you just think you better than me. No, I don't think I'm better than you. I'm just better than the me that you used to.
But
That's
you
the
deserve
problem.
a better you, and the world deserves a better you, you know?
Exactly.
And I think sometimes we can create friendships or connections with people when we're in traumatic places or chapters in our life and create these trauma bonds. But when
Trauma bond. Oh, baby.
but when we heal and move forward, some people want you to stay in that space with them. and continue to brood over that situation, time, or chapter. And it's like, no, I'm healing and I'm moving on from that. And other than that traumatic thing we had in common, what do we have in common other than that trauma? And
Right.
if you cannot grow and build with me beyond that, what is it?
It's time for you to go because
Yeah,
there's no room for me to dibble and dabble and wallow in what has happened. It
yeah,
happened. It's time to get up, baby, heal and go on.
yeah. Because I
I
can
know.
understand you go through life and you have that one person that is riding with you. But my thing is, even going through that rough patch, but let's not stay here.
You
Let's
know,
move forward from that. Let's move forward. Like my shirt says, healing, snatching, and creating. Let's move on. you
let's
know.
move on. We got
And
to keep moving.
yeah, I had
Bec-
someone a couple months back, and they made a comment, and I was like, I'm not doing the trauma bond thing, whatever. But it's just like we can talk about a lot of other things, but that it's off the table because that was what 10 years ago. Let's move forward.
Yeah, and if you want to stay there, then be my guest. But I'm gone.
Yeah,
And so you just want to be a part of this of the now me. You'll never be a part of it because you're so used to the me that catered to your every need, even though it left me empty and frustrated and all that kind of stuff. As long as you got what you needed, you was good.
yeah.
Um, but no, you really have to get to a place mentally and also spiritually to where you understand who you are and whose you are because the Father, I'm not trying to be all deep, I promise. But
No,
no, but
we're
the
here to
Father,
talk. I'm a PK, so
you
whatever.
know,
God
uh,
don't have limits.
yeah. And so because the Father, when the Father created you, right, He created you fearfully and wonderfully. He did not create you to be nobody's call in and on call person and be nobody's place for them to leech off of and nothing's reciprocated. No, you give and then it's reciprocated. Simple as that. Now, some people you may come into your life for you to pour into them and then for them to pour into others. As long as it's reciprocated in some form, then you've done your job. Because a lot of people think reciprocation is I give to you, you give to me. Sometimes it's I give to you and you give to somebody else.
Yeah,
And
but then
so you have to watch that.
someone else gives to you, and it may not be from that person. It may come
Yeah.
from someone else.
It may come from someone else, right?
Yeah,
And so when I give to people, no matter what form it's in, and me personally, it's not one of those things where I just start like watching the clock and start, well, when is it gonna happen? No. What you gonna turn into a skeleton waiting. Baby, we got other stuff to do. Come on, let's go. You did what you're supposed to do. Now let's move on. And then the Father makes sure that everything that you gave out to be restored back into you, that and then some. And so, you just have to kind of like get to that place. And so now, like I said, I respect me. I love me. And so I've set those boundaries and I'll set those things in motion. And the people around me now, I call them the council, they respect that because they were the ones that were like, you got to do better. And I'm like, but I don't do. I mean, the crying a mess. You got to do better.
So what is the importance of having an accountability circle or the council? I mean, we all have a
Right.
council or a squad or circle, but Austin, what do you feel like is so important, or why is it a necessity to have that squad or that circle around you, or
Because
any?
you have to get to a point to where you understand one, you can't do everything, right? And then because when you form your own council, these are the people that know you. They know your strengths, they know your weaknesses, they know what you want to work on, they know what you ain't gonna stand for. And so now that everybody has this knowledge of who you are and where you're trying to go, they now have the job of holding you to that because they know you. And they know for a fact if they see somebody, they be like, well, I just need this and this and this because they know you. They know you a cave because of how your heart is set up or because of the kind of person that you are. And then they whisper, you bet not do it. You bet not do it because you said it. And so they start holding you to what you said. Did nobody put no gun to your head? This wasn't a ransom. You didn't get kidnapped. None of that stuff. You openly said, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to work on. Because these are the people that, like I said, they know your faults. They know your flaws. They know your strengths and your weaknesses. And then they'll be able to see the stuff that you miss because you're only one person. So you're not going to see everything. They'll be able to see, hey, you might want to watch that person. I know you love them, but you might want to watch them because their motive is off. Or, hey, you shouldn't have said that to them. You shouldn't have said that to them because they may take that and flip it and turn it into something that it wasn't. Or, hey, you should have said a little bit more, or you should have just completely not said nothing at all. And so they kind of keep you in that place and they keep you on that path to where you're going. And so it's very important that everybody get you a counsel. If you don't have a counsel, get you a counsel. You need one. Because these are the people that are just going to hold you accountable. I don't care how many times we fall out. It's okay. If we fall out, we're going to fall out. Then we're going to get up, dust ourselves off, laugh about it, and we're going to keep going. Because you need those people that's going to hold you true to you too. Not just you hold yourself.
I will agree to that. And I'm not going to get into the weeds of what we were talking about a few days ago. But we had a little intervention. Because I was sharing something with you and you were like, Cam, this is what it is. And I just had to sit there on that FaceTime and I was like, no. And he was like, yeah, that's what it is. And so I can attest to the accountability. So
amen. Yeah, so you have to, so you need that. Like we hold each other, like y'all, we hold each other accountable, okay? And so this ain't just one of them things where it's like, oh, this is my first time meeting. You know, we've been on each other, and we hold each other accountable. And so if you have the
one that got on to you about journaling, which I want to talk about now as far as all of this.
Yeah.
So since I pushed you into journaling, I'm a huge advocate of that. And I do have journals on my Good Black Men website for the brothers. I have journals for you guys to write. And right now my pre-Black Friday sale is out right now. If you use the coupon code BLKFRI40, everything is 40% off right now. So with that being said, when you started journaling, what after I was like, we had a little fussy session about it. What did you begin to feel once you started actually journaling?
When I started journaling, the first couple of pages, I didn't have nothing. I was just like, dear journal. I don't even know what I put in it, but it was dear something. And then I just started crying. And so those first couple of pages have tears on them. And so and then I just flipped the page to the next day. And those first couple of days, I just cried. That's all I did. I cried. Because at first, like, part of me was like, I don't want to do this journal. I don't want to do this journal. Like, y'all want me to actually have feelings and write them down? This is dumb. But I think a week after that, I started writing out like, hey, it's me, Austinn, how your mama name? Like, I was talking to myself. I said, today was full of whatever it was. I just went into as much detail as I felt I should go into in my journal. And then I was like, all right, I'm done signing out, Austinn. And then I flipped the page. And so it was a stress reliever because some stuff I couldn't say verbally. Well, I could have said verbally, but it would have did real damage. I put it in my journal. Like, they said this to me, and what I wanted to say was this, but you would be so proud of me because I didn't even say nothing. And so, like, sometimes, like, I may go back and, like, read an excerpt from the journal, and I'd be like, wow, you have really grown from this. Like, go, Austinn. Yeah. And so it's a stress reliever, and it's therapy because, with being a creative and me being a songwriter and stuff, I'm always writing anyway. And so journaling was kind of like, oh, okay. And some of those journals, you never know, they may turn into a song. We'll just have to wait and see.
So about that, in journaling, even in my own journey, I start every page, Dear God, and I just let it go. And there are times I cry, there's times I'm angry, whatever I'm feeling, I just dump it out, but I don't ever go back and reread it. Whatever that moment is, I just lean into it, I let it happen, and I leave it there. And sometimes I may re-journal the same thing and it comes out in another way. And I keep, if it's, let's say I hit my toe and it bothered me, I might write about it for 3 days, but I write about it until it's out of my system and I've exhausted it.
Mhm.
And then I'll go into the next thing. And what's so crazy is usually there's a response to whatever I journal through a prayer, a sermon, a song, a conversation. It always comes back around. But once I write it, I just let it go. I don't revisit it. Now, there have been times where I have gone back to a section in my journal. And once I realize I got closure over it, I'll take those pages and rip it out, rip it up, and throw it in the trash. Once I
Really?
feel like
Come
I
on, rip it
yeah,
out, throw it in the
once I
trash.
feel like I've fully gotten that resolve and, like, that's done, I'll go back and find those pages, I'll tear them out and rip it up, and that's how I know it's gone. But if I'm still having
And
to write about it, I
Mhm.
know it's not clear yet. But when I've hit the clear, so to say, there have been times I'll go back and I'll tear it up, and I'm like, "We're good."
We're good. And so I find myself, because even like when I'm at work or whatever, and I feel like something I need to talk about, like I voice note it, right? And so with the voice notes, I actually don't go back and listen to those. But it be certain ones, like I have like a little header on it. And so I had well, not an incident, I had an event that happened where a young lady came into my job and she was like, "You just don't understand what I'm feeling." And the Lord reminded me, He said, "Remember, you voice noted that." And I gave her my phone. I said, "Go listen to it." And she sat right there in my job and listened to it. And she was boo hooing when she got done. I think the voice note was like 10 minutes. And she just cried. And she was like, "You do understand." I know. Now, let me tell you what to do about it. Because you can never help a person cross a bridge you haven't got over yourself. And so me, I said, well, let me give you the steps that I took. It may work for you, it may not, but this is what I did. I did A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And she went back and applied it to her life, and mother doing great. And so, certain ones, if I feel that unction, like, hey, you may need to listen to this because this is the same thing that I dealt with. This is the same thing that I've been through, and I journaled about it. I voice noted it. So maybe you can listen to it and hear exactly where I'm coming from with this. And then they're like, I understand that. Now let me tell you what to do. Because a lot of people, a lot of folks, they give us, tools to get out and all that kind of stuff, but they never give us the tools to stay out. And so I pride myself in giving folks not just the tools to get out, but stay out, because it's a win-win the whole way around, right? You can't just tell folks what the problem is. If you're gonna tell them the problem, make sure you have the solution to follow up behind that, and then give them the practice to stay out. And so that's what I find myself doing with certain people in my life. All right, this is the problem that you're having. This is the solution. And it may be a lot of solutions. You never know. Pick one of them. But then here's the tools for you to stay out. And I think that's actually kind of where the church fails at. We give folks, we help folks get out, but we don't help them stay out. And although it has to be a self-work, you have to give them something to go off of. If they don't know,
Application,
you have to
application.
give them that
I call it
application that they can.
application, life tools or skills,
Mhm.
because life doesn't stop just because it's Sunday.
It don't stop. And I wish people really understand that it do not stop just because it's Sunday, or just because it's convocation or revival. It don't stop. Like, I don't know what you thought about, because life gonna be waiting at you when you go back home after you done shouted and cried.
Before you get to the parking lot, I
But
mean,
as soon as they do benediction, boom, hey, and
yeah,
then it's kind of like, yeah. So you have to be, and then that's when you take that. That's when I would recommend you actually take that to your counsel as well. So they can hear, if they were not already present when it happened, but they can hear and hold you to that. Okay,
yeah,
what you said, we seen you come out of this. Now you heard what was said. They check in. Are you doing this? Why haven't you done it? I just don't feel like it. Well, baby, staying out in a feeling. It's a decision. Get up.
yeah. But I would
And
say, like, okay, so I grew up in church. I'm a PK, and so I went through a phase, um, what I was dying in the pews, coming to church, coming to church, doing all of the things, paying my tithes. They do a fast or fast, like all of the what I won't say rituals, but the day to day of church, the culture. I was doing church culture, but I wasn't getting things at that time where I was at for what I was experiencing in my personal life.
Hmm.
And there was a huge gap. And so even though I was singing in the choir, Sunday school secretary, youth leader, all the stuff I was doing, um, I was slipping through the cracks quietly and I was dying in the pews. And so that's when I started to incorporate therapy, mental health into my relationship with God because there were things that I had experienced and was going through that were taboo. Didn't talk about it in church, because it was just, oh, you just pray about everything. And I wasn't in a space where I could open up the Pandora's box and outpour or dump or debunk the junk, so to say, without a lot of over spiritual connotation, scriptures being thrown at me, feeling judged, or you were born in this thing, so you should know XYZ, whatever. But I was still a person going through and having these life experiences. And so I was falling apart because I wasn't in an environment where I could open up and talk about the things that happened from childhood up until then. And so I just was crumbling. But when I found, and I've had the same person since like 2006 because I feel like it's a life process. And when I started doing that shift, things started to change. I began to interpret life differently. Um, it just became better, because nothing wrong with pastors, preachers, bishops, love them, whatever. But I would say 99% of them do not have a mental health background. They do not have the counseling, the education, the training, the certificates, the degrees to deal with that. And don't get me wrong, I stand on the word of God till I take my last breath. But there's also another space between the natural you, spiritual you, there's a mental you, there's an emotional you. And that part I was not equipped with. And so that's when I was literally sneaking off to get therapy because those things were at that time taboo to talk about in church.
And let me just say this: any male, as I love them all, don't get me wrong, but let me talk to my black men for a second.
Thank you, because you were reading my mind. Go ahead.
Let me talk to my black men for a second. First of all, I salute you. I see you. I'm rooting for you. Your feelings matter too, because society has put this stigma on black men that black men can't show emotions and black men don't need no help. The devil is a lie and his mama got hepatitis C. You go sit on somebody's couch and talk and get this stuff out, because that is what the enemy is going to use to keep your life at bay if you do not go get no help. Ain't nobody saying you crazy. But what I am saying, you have things that you need to deal with that you can't talk to everybody about. Go sit on the couch and talk to you a therapist. Do you hear what I'm saying? I had to do it. I did not start dealing with all of the rapes in my life until I sat down on the couch. I went to church and everybody was looking at the wrong thing. But nobody took the time to see the hurt that I was dealing with. As long as I was singing, as long as I was praying, as long as I was preaching, everybody was good. But I was dying in the pews and in the pulpit. And nobody saw it. As long as I was hyping them and churching them, everybody was good. But when I needed help, nobody was around. I went to a mental health specialist. I have one right now. Shout out to Dr. J. Love you, man, because he ain't no joke. All right, this is the problem. Okay, what you do here? What did you do here? Well, this is what you could have done. Well, how are you feeling today? What can I do for you? Like you need somebody that sees you and that can relate to where you coming from. Men, black men, go get help. Your voice needs to be heard. You matter. We see you. We rooting for you. You got this. I just thought I had to say that because I'm getting real tired of this whole society thing about black men not showing emotions and all this kind of stuff. And most of the problem is the people that's saying it is the people that's causing black men not to say nothing. And it's specifically black women. I'm coming for it all. It's okay. I love y'all too. We're going to plow through. Y'all have put this stigma on black men. And like, he don't never talk to me. Well, because you nag all the time. Sometimes if you just be quiet and listen, maybe he can tell you. But you have not presented yourself either as a safe space for him to come and talk to you. Because every time he talks, you have a rebuttal against it. But I digress. That's not all black women, but it's some of them. I know some personally. And I'm getting on their behinds about it. But anyway, black men, go get help. Go talk to somebody.
And
It's not taboo.
yeah, I also feel like when you have a black woman that's experienced trauma and a black man that's experienced trauma, and now they're in a relationship, now you have two traumatized people because she has probably been silenced her whole life and wants to be heard. He's been silenced his whole life and he wants to be heard. So now you have two unheard people coming together because not only are you dealing with social economic trauma, you're dealing with generational trauma, you're dealing with gender trauma, you're dealing with colorism and that thing within the community. So there's just a whole list of everything.
And so you're dealing
So,
with all that. Now, black women, listen, go get you
so
some
it's
help too.
so I would say you have two traumatized people coming together. And I look at it as far as before we hop into these relationships, what are we doing to heal? What are we doing
Mm-hmm.
to get better? Because this space is not to gender bash against black men versus black women, because that's not what we
No,
do here on the Speaker Podcast.
right. No.
My point is for here first to have the conversation about healing and journeys, because yes, it does happen. I'm not ignoring that it happens, but my point is we have two group of people that are pointing fingers when first we need to look at ourselves, and that's key. Like, what am I saying wrong? What am I doing wrong? How am I communicating? Because it's not all just him and it's not just all her, because it takes two to tango. It takes two.
And I
So
want to
when
learn the tango too, not to cut that off, but I want to learn tango. I do.
So, in that being said, like, how do you feel like for brothers? Because you mentioned something, the silence of men experiencing sexual assault and the hushing of that in Black men in the community.
I feel like it's actually dumb, and this is just me, right? I'm not, one of those fancy fans. I'm very, short and like simple. But I feel like what has happened is we have a culture who has grown up dealing with that, and they've grown up trauma bonded, right? And then they grow up only knowing what they've been taught and what they've seen. And so then you have that generation raising the current generation who is now growing up. Well, I never saw this, and my daddy didn't do this, and all this kind of stuff. And so you have all of this. It's like a domino effect because of one thing that happened, and it really could have stopped with you. And so I think that the stigma is you have a culture who does not know the importance of talking in a healthy way, because most of it comes out and you're lashing out and all this kind of stuff because you didn't do this and you didn't do this. And now we're living in a time where there are resources available for you,
Mhm.
right? You don't have to take the same route that grandmama and grandpa did when it happened to them, if it happened to them, or your parents, if or when it happened to them. You now have resources to stop that, so you won't continue that on to your children and their children and their children. It has to stop somewhere. And I think that a lot of people really don't understand the importance of it's okay to go and tell somebody about it without the feeling of you gonna judge me. And I think that's where the biggest part of it come in, because most people feel like, well, you ain't gonna understand it and you gonna judge me, and so I'm not gonna say nothing at all. Of course, not discrediting the whole, don't tell nobody about this. It's just between me and you, and we'll deal with that some other time.
I
But
think
currently,
stigma of that because it seems like when it's with girls, there's a space for women to discuss the hashtag me too. But
Hmm.
because I think there's so many labels and stereotypes placed on black men on how black men should present, how black men should
Hmm.
show up. But when that happens to him, whether if it's at 7:25, whatever, and it's not asked for, and it's assault, it's rape.
Hmm.
Let's just call it what it is. It's molestation, is what it is.
That's what happened.
Then there's a shame attached to it.
Yeah, they it's a shame and it's a guilt, and then the enemy uses that to keep you where you are, because you start hearing the whole, well, what if it was my fault, or I didn't deserve this, or this happened to me and that happened. Okay, it happened, but baby, you don't have to be quiet about it. This also comes in with respecting you,
Mhm.
right? Because if you don't get no help, then that means you don't care about you, or if you don't voice it, you don't
I
care
wouldn't say
about
they
you.
wouldn't care about themselves, but maybe there's a fear or just trying to unpack what happened to me and processing that and being confused and not knowing how to process that, right?
And it's okay with that whole processing, because I had to do it
Yeah.
myself, right? I had
Mhm.
to process. I had to really wrap my mind like, dang, that really happened. Like what? And so when I did process, right? Since we're talking about the process of it, when I did process,
Mhm.
then that's when I made the choice, because you have to make the choice to want the help now. Because can't
Right.
nobody help you if you don't open your mouth. Let's don't state that. You have to open your mouth and get the help if you want it. Right? Granny always told a closed mouth don't get fed. Well, baby, if you want the help, I'm gonna need you to open your mouth and tell somebody. And so after you've processed it, after you've kind of like said everything like, okay, this really is what happened, then that's when you make the decision. I'm going to want to get some help. I want some help, but you have to be around those people too. If you have shared it, that will be there with you in every phase, not necessarily every phase, but every part of your life that you need them in to be there to comfort you and to relate with you. You have to have people that understand you and they understand where you're coming from. And then I think what'll happen is it'll make the black man be like, you know what? Let's go talk to somebody. Because they've had their counsel that was with them when they had their moments, right? When they had the nightmares that they had them, when they had those moments of just outbursts of just rage and just crying and stuff. Then it's when you got your counselor be like, baby, you think you need to go talk to somebody? Because even your counselor can only do so much. Go
So
go to
like
somebody.
men also have will touch on that anger when we see aggressive personalities. It's not that they're angry at you, it's something deeper.
It's 9 times out of
Angry.
10 is definitely something deeper. It's just like whenever like said thing happen, whatever some situation is, sometimes the case comes in is this is a trigger for what
Mhm.
happened to me. Like this is what led up to this, or this is a byproduct of what happened to me. And so you have to watch and see what's going on, because some black men are naturally aggressive because the last time they let a man in, things went left, right? And so you'll find them being a lot aggressive towards each other. And I say like this, like
That's trust, the lack of trust.
yeah, a lack of trust, because
Right.
the last time I let a man in my life, he did this, or he hurt me, or he abused my trust, or he abused me. And so you have this cycle going on that every time I let a man in, this happens. And then when you find that one friend, that one black man that's actually with you that don't want nothing from you, you don't know how to receive it because you think it's a catch. Like, what do I have to do for it? Or why are you really here? And they're really here to help you. And so it becomes a thing of you have to kind of get to the point that every other brother is not like that.
Women go
Right.
through that too.
Mhm.
Um, there are things I experienced throughout my life, and then I got to a point where I didn't trust women because I always figured, why are you being nice to me? Is this backlash where it's going to come back on me later? Or, you know, And so it took a long time for me to really tear down those walls. Now I'm still cautious, but there was a time where it was just like,
There's nothing you can do to get here. There's nothing.
yeah. So you
There's
know what I
nothing.
did to break that? One of the things I did to break that, I joined my sorority because I didn't want that to run as a theme throughout my life. And in order to confront those fears, I was like, no, let's be proactive. Let's run towards Goliath. And I'm going to thrust myself into an environment where I'm forced to be around other women. I'm forced to build relationships. I'm forced to be in a space to where I have to kind of let the wall down. And it helped tremendously.
Yeah, sometimes you have to do that. And the same, same for me. I didn't trust me. Every time a father figure, especially father figure came, what you want? You want something from? What do you want from me? And I even did this with my current apostle, Apostle Khalif Sanders of Momentum Church. Love you, Apostle. I asked him, what do you want? And he looked at me dead in my eyes and said, I don't want nothing from you. All I want to do is love you the correct way and get you to where you need to be. And he has been consistent. And you after you've experienced trauma so much, when you find that father figure, I'm just speaking on the father figure aspect of things.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
find that one, you gonna know. It's just something in you clicks, and you be like, "Yeah, I can trust him," and he's shown himself. Now I'm not just saying, I just like, "Oh my God, I trust you," because that's not what happened. That's not what happened. What happened was I was like, I don't know about this. But as time went on, and he kept showing me exactly the reason that he was in my life outside of the Lord sending me to him, everything just started falling down. And it fell down real fast. And I was like, wait a minute, slow down. No, I want to keep this fall up. No, he saw the wall and he came after it. And now he is an amazing leader, an amazing father figure in my life. And I love him like so much because, that's mine. Don't play out. But no. And so you have to have, like, I had to force myself to do that though. Like I had to put myself there and be willing to try it again. Because one of my fears was that I was so used to everything messing up. My fear was that it just might work. And I think a lot of Black men have that same fear that it just might work. Like this just might be that brother and friend you need to help you get where you need to go. But because of, like we said, trauma bonds and all that kind of stuff, and you have to deal with that and unpack that so you don't push off the people that God does send to you. And then you pray, God, send me some help. I did. You blacked his eye. What you want me to do? And so I did. You cussed her out. Like, what you want me to do? I sent you to help. But you didn't take it. You throwing tables and stuff. Like, why you doing it? And so, because of, like, I don't want you to get here. Like, I'm just here to help you. And then, you start going through whole interrogations and stuff, and then you push them away. And then
Like,
it's
who
like,
are you? Who sent you?
like, what's your motive? Like,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
yeah, so that's a big part. Like, and so yeah, and so that's what it is. And even with relationships,
Mm.
even mine, I didn't want nothing. Leave me alone because y'all only here for one thing, and it ain't to have prayer service. Y'all want my goodness and mercy, and you ain't getting it. Cause I threw, because that's why most people come around anyway. If we tell them the truth, they just want to play house. They won't have heated fellowship,
I
and
can't.
no.
I can't with you. We
And
gotta
so,
switch gears.
and
We
so,
gotta switch gears because now you cutting up.
and so, so when I found my person, I was like, this is tacky. Like, what is happening? But I found my person, and I'm cool with my person. Me and my person chilling like a villain.
Period.
And
So
so,
with
but
that being said, I want to ask you this question, just for time's sake. So going through the hill, and I do want to bring you back because we have unraveled so much. But I want to get into your process now and how that's inspired your new project as far as music and this new single that's out, and what has that been like for you? And just tell us about the new music right now.
okay, so the song, it'll be out December 23rd. It's called I Tried. It's featuring my brother.
I got
Um,
to hear it. I got to
yeah,
hear it
she got
first.
to hear it. And Basically, that song was my closure song from a previous relationship.
Mm.
I was landing in Houston May 13th of 2021, and that song came to me. I was exactly 27,834 feet in the air. I'll never forget it. And as I was in the air, I heard, I tried to give her, and I started writing. And all I could say really was, I tried. And so that's kind of how that song was birthed. That song was birthed as a closure to a previous relationship. And I wrote the song and I was like, my brother has got to get on this. And so I had the song wrote for a whole year. And so me and my
Wait
brother
a
got
minute, you
together.
had that song written for a whole year, and here it is, 2022.
Mhm.
Okay.
The song had been written and everything. I'm talking the music and the song had already been written, background vocals and everything. I
Really?
just did not put it out because I didn't feel like it was time. I felt like something was missing. And I had told my brother, I was like, I want you to hear it. He was like, you should put it out, but I was like, something's missing. So we got together and I said, you want to get on this? He was like, yeah. And he sat down and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning and off the dome did that whole verse that you heard. And we were just sitting and
Just in
vibing.
one take?
One take. That's all it took.
Wow.
And so, and the song, because became what it was. But yeah,
Okay.
so that was what it was. Like my journey through healing, it benefited through journaling and all that kind of stuff. And it became what it is. And I hope that people take away from that song is simply that there's only so much you can do in whatever measure it is. And sometimes all you have to do is just throw your hands up and be like, I tried. And then go on with your life. So my brother, he did a verse on it, he produced it. Uh, I had my graphics done by Enrico Arion and Boss Visual Productions. Does amazing graphics. Y'all be sure to look him up too. And so yeah, so it all became a whole thing, and it literally took no time. But we did some other stuff too in the span of 5 hours that I can't wait for y'all to hear either.
So, in my last question before we wrap, well, a couple questions. When you say I tried, sometimes you have to just accept that and know that sometimes that resolve comes with no apologies. Because sometimes you may never get the apology.
You
And you
may
have to
never
say, I
get it.
put forth my best effort. I did the best I could do. I tried to have that conversation with you. I was rejected. You didn't want to hear me. You didn't want to talk about it. So if I attempted to have some resolution and it doesn't happen and I didn't get that apology, sometimes you got to be okay with it and move forward.
You have to be okay. You don't have a choice. You have to be okay. And sometimes, you just got to apologize to you. I am so sorry for putting me through that. I saw it the first time. I knew I wasn't crazy. I saw it the first time.
You disrespected yourself
You disrespected you. So that's the apology that you need to be doing, apologizing to yourself because you saw it the first time. But,
and you stepped outside of your boundaries.
you said that's not your boundaries. So apologize to you. That's the apology that you need.
That's a whole nother
It
conversation.
is. It's just so much.
No, I'm serious. So you touching on that, I literally had that thought, and it's been a thought that's been running. And I was coming upstairs earlier today, and a thought from something crossed my mind, and something else said, already been forgiven for that.
Hmm.
And that thought had to get arrested. Was like, no, shut that down.
Shut it down because it ain't that. That ain't that. Yo, sneaky devil. My granny called him a beatback devil. He
And it's
might go.
not so much that, as far as, God forgiving us or whatever, a lot of times we hold ourselves hostage. And I say
Self
we are
sabotage.
we are the prisoner and the warden to our own jail holding the key.
Yeah.
Forgive yourself.
And all you have to do is use the key.
Holding the key to your own prison.
That's
Because
it.
you're still beating yourself up, or I can't believe this or that. And that was 5, 6, 7 years.
Years
Why?
ago.
Why?
Time done passed you by and you still dwelling back there. Baby, get up. We got stuff to do.
Life has gone on. And so going back to that, moving past some things. And it's not ignoring, acting like something didn't happen, not saying that, but just giving yourself the closure and moving forward.
And moving forward. Like don't sit there and die there. No. Get past it and get up.
Yeah.
Get up.
So Austin, where can you said December 23rd, correct?
Yes, ma'am. December 23rd.
All right. So where can we get the music?
You can get it. You can get it on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube. What's the other stuff? Anywhere you find music, you'll be able to. TikTok, we're gonna get on TikTok. So wherever you can find music, you will be able to get that.
Good. So as we start to wrap everything else, I do want you to leave a couple of nuggets or takeaways, and then where people can find you on social media. So out of this conversation, we dug into some heavy things. So what are maybe like one or two nuggets that you want to leave to the viewers and listeners until we bring you back to the show?
Uh, the first nugget I really want to leave is to my brothers. You're seen again. You're seen. You're heard. You matter, and I'm rooting for you. If you have nobody else rooting for you, know that Austinn is rooting for you. And I love y'all, brothers, and I love you for free. It's something for all of us to take. Yeah, that's it. That's really it for that. And then as far as like a nugget for everybody to grab onto, always remember this. If heaven said it, you stand on it. That my grandmother taught me that before she passed. She said, baby, if heaven said it, you stand on it. And so that's what I want to leave with y'all. I don't care what your dreams and aspirations and goals is. I don't care what the process is right now. I don't care if it look like it ain't happening. If heaven said it, you stand on it because he's going to make sure it comes to pass. God is faithful. And I promise you, if you stick with it, he's going to make sure everything concerning you comes to fruition.
I love it. And where can people contact you on social media?
On Facebook, it's Austinn Knox. That's AustinnKnox. And you can also follow me on Instagram at _ I am Austinn official. And if y'all want to follow me on TikTok, it's Austinn Reacts. So it's AUSTINN Reacts. And then, I'll be sure to post my link tree and all that kind of stuff when I share this and the rest of the stuff, so they'll be able to go to it. And we also have merch out too. We got merch out because y'all been threatening me. So we actually have that. I'll be sure to post that for y'all as well.
I love it. Absolutely love it. First of all, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure having you here. The conversations are always deep and layered, and I love it. And there are so many things that you said. The next time I bring you back, I want to continue this conversation, particularly for Black men, because I think it's really important. Um, and as you know, those are not know, I created GBM Official just because I feel like it's an extension of the Speaker Podcast, and I really wanted our brothers to have a space where they could, talk, have those conversations as well, not just having just another T-shirt, so to say, but
Mm-hmm.
having something that represents the voice of our brothers, which I think is super important. So if those that follow me and follow you on social media, I'm there on Instagram at Camille.Essick. You can follow me there. We are running the pre-Black Friday sale, so they use the coupon code BLKFRI40. Everything store-wide is 40% off, and we're right there on Instagram. That information is right there, and they can catch all the merchandise for our brothers. We have journals, coffee mugs, steel tumblers, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and hoodies, and they come in various colors. So if there's someone in your life, you can give them. We have a variety of colors in the t-shirts, and the hoodies and sweatshirts are in black. So be sure to catch that merchandise there. And my Amazon storefront is available at this time, and I have dropped um, Christmas cards for the culture. They are on my Etsy store, so you can download them. Um, they are Black boy and Black girl friendly Christmas cards very classy. I design everything myself. They are on my Etsy page. You can grab those in addition to everything. So I'm working hard, you guys, to tap into everything digital that I can put my hands on.
Listen,
Just
that's the way. Because online shopping is what it's going to be after a while. Watch.
yeah, yeah, just so we can have resources, journals, for your health, the speaker podcast, have these healthy conversations. So I am constantly working to build this world for us. So I want to say, first of all, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Austin, hang on just a moment. If you missed this conversation, you can go back and catch the replay on my YouTube channel. It will stream later on streaming platforms where you can get that. And just to say, I'm beyond humbled. Back in October, I did stream my 100th episode.
Woo!
Guilty.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is what happens when y'all don't. This is the stuff y'all don't see.
Professional, okay.
Because we set up on FaceTime so bad.
Oh, it's real bad. Oh. Oh.
But I wanted to say thank you all for rocking with me. This is not an easy work. I've done it sick. I've done it with COVID. I've done it with sinus infections. You name it. I do it tired. I do it when I'm not tired. But consistency and longevity can take you to places you never thought you could go. And I say that to the creatives watching. Keep pushing, keep showing up. You never know what your brand or product or book or song is doing for someone else. So continue and forge ahead, because it will pay off in the end. So I admonish each and every one of you to even, if you feel tired, give yourself a break. This whole no days off, that's crazy. You do need a day off. Your mind needs a break. You need to rest. You need to recharge, because you cannot, as I said before, pour from an empty cup. But just when you feel like you're going to throw in the towel, pick it up, wipe off your face and keep going, because you can do this. And you don't ever know that someone's life is hinging on your obedience. So continue to do whatever's been placed in your hand, because this thing is bigger than you. There's people watching you. There's people listening to you. There's someone that needs to hear your story, someone that needs to read your book, someone that needs to hear your song. And you cannot stay in that place, because when you come up, you're bringing a nation with you. So hang in there.
Okay.
And we're going to leave that there. That's my little Thanksgiving soapbox for today.
That was a good box.
Oh my gosh. There you go. Stop it.
Okay. That was good.
Yeah. But with that being said, everybody, this is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and creators connect. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you all next week. Lord willing, be blessed and have a good night.